In this project, you will create an instructional website. The website will contain 5 pages, one of which will be the index page. Now, why might you want to create a website? One would be to promote your program. A second reason, and what you're going to focus on in this project, is creating instruction for your students via the web. So you're creating a 5-page website that teaches the students something. For example, you could focus on volleyball, and the site might have a page on the serve, the spike, the set, and the forearm pass. The 5th page would be your index page. Now, what is a web page? A web page is simply a format that contains text with special codes in them. These special codes refer to the page as an HTML file, and notice that the extension is HTML, and these special codes tell the page to bold this word or to make this word a certain size. So here you can see that using a web design program, you type in the word, highlight it, and the code is automatically created for you. Now, have you ever wondered what kind of code is behind the web pages that you are viewing on the internet? Well, in your browser, all you need to do is select View Page Source, and there you have it. All that wonderful code. Isn't that fun to look at? Well, in this course, you will not be learning HTML code. You will simply be using a web design program that will take your text and convert it to code for you. Now, pretty much anyone today can create a website. However, a professional-looking website, a little bit different. So let's look at the design principles that we need to follow when creating our web pages or website. Here are 6 rules, and we're going to take them one by one so that we fully understand them. First rule, pages load fast. If your web page or your pictures are very large, your web page will load slowly, and your students will get bored waiting for your page to come up. So make sure that your web pages load quickly. Test them out. Next, there should be a consistency between your pages. Look at the side on the left. It is consistent. Looking at the side on the right, each page seems to have a different format. You wouldn't know that they belong together. When you create your website, each page should look very similar to the next in terms of font size, style, color, and consistency. Just like when we created our brochures, when you create a website, you want to be consistent. The next rule is to name the first page that people will see as index.html. The first website you see here is mine, and I've loaded the index page.html. Now, here in the second screen, you'll notice that I have omitted the index.html, and yet the browser takes me to the same page. The reason for this is that the browser knows that anytime it sees index.html, it can ignore that. Now, there are a few servers where it's a different word, but the vast majority are index.html. So the visitor does not even have to type that. They can simply type the main URL, and they'll end up on the first page. The next design principle says that you need to have contact information on all pages, so your name, your email address, etc. The next design principle says good color contrast. Notice the one image at the top is easy to read, the one at the bottom, very difficult to read. The last principle says check spelling and grammar. And especially with the spelling, it's so easy to do. It's built into the software regardless of the web design program that you use. Check your spelling and then double check your spelling. The web design software that we'll be using in this course is called Kompozer, and there are directions within Project 8 to tell you how to download it. Other web design programs include Adobe Dreamweaver and Microsoft Front Page. If you own these programs and you already know how to use them, then drop me an email so I can give you permission to use those instead if you would like. The first step in creating a website is to create a folder if you're a Mac user or directory if you're a Windows user, and create 3 additional subfolders or subdirectories. You entitle one of the subdirectories Images, the second one Sounds, and the third one Video. Now, you won't have sound or video for this particular project, so if you simply want to create one additional subdirectory or subfolder named Images, that is fine. The next step is to find any images or video or sound and copy them into the appropriate directory. This step is crucial so that you don't drive yourselves crazy. This will really save you time. So in the scenario for your project, find the images that you're going to want to use in your website, copy them into the images folder, which is inside your web project folder. This schematic, which by the way I created in inspiration, shows you what your web page is going to look like. You have an index page, you have 4 other pages, and you may name them anything you want, and then you have a folder named Images. For this project, each page must connect to every other page. This is typically accomplished by creating a navigation bar. A navigation bar notes the name of each page and puts the names in a row or line. This can be accomplished by creating a table that is 1 row by however many pages wide. Then there is a link to each page from the navigation bar. Let's now take a look at Kompozer, which is the web design software, free from the internet, that you will use to create your web pages. First, I'd like to just take kind of a look-see. If you click toward the bottom of the screen on Normal, this is where you will type in, much like you would a word processing. Anything you type here, like the word hello, then becomes part of your web page. By clicking on HTML tags, you see somewhat of the design, but for now I would ignore this section. Clicking on source is actually code, source or code, and you see the code that's created simply by typing the word hello. And then lastly, you have preview. What kind of, sort of, will hello look like on a web browser? Later on, I'll also show you how to actually load your pages into a browser so you can see specifically how they will look. So these 4 tabs provide you with the ability to enter information, and then if you like, to see the code that's created after you've created your web page. If you are following along, I'm next going to show you how to save the web page. Now all it has on it is hello. But go to File, Save, and then you'll be presented with the dialog box that asks you to provide a title. And for now, I'm simply going to put volleyball because that's what my website is about. Next, I'll be asked to save the page. And as I mentioned earlier, since this is my first page, I am going to name it index.html. Remember, Kompozer is taking my word processing, if you will, or the text, and converting it into HTML code. Let's take a minute here and differentiate between file name, heading, and title. At the very top of this screen, or of any browser, you'll see a word. That word is the title. The file name for that particular one is presentation.html. So whatever name, index.html, presentation.html, that is the file name. And for this particular web page, you see the word presentations under the navigation bar, and that refers to the heading. So let's look at a web page where each one is different. On this particular website, The title is up in the gray area, which is at the top of the browser. The name is in the white area where you type in the URL and it ends in .html. And then the heading is the name in white. So the title is Lawyer Cartoons and some other information. The name of the website is index.html and the heading is Stu's Views.